what would you suggest in terms of Etsy? Because a lot of people sell on Etsy as well. And you did say, I would do separate research there if I want to optimize for Etsy.
There are a ton of tools for Etsy. It seems like every week there's a new one, right? In terms of like product research, I really like this tool that like doesn't even have an affiliate program. So I'm being real here, right? It's called Etsy Hunt. It's etsyhunt.com. They literally have like 50 million products in their database. So when you search, you're searching, and it's not like, Etsy.com has way more than 50 million. So these bots are working day and night to like scrape this data and push it to this parallel database on Etsy Hunt or on Everbee or on whatever platform, right? Like there's a million platforms, and like you were just saying, they all excel at like kind of different things. But Etsy Hunt, I love their product database, the search feature, very quick, gives you the relevant data you need. If you want to upgrade, I think the price could always change. I think it's like $4 a month. You know what I mean? So it's not anything crazy breaking the bank. And I've found that like pretty helpful. Obviously like you can hit little different filters too. So it's not just a keyword search, then you can filter those. And I found that really, really helpful.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And they have got a free version that is quite useful.
Free version.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that's cool. I don't know if I've ever even seen that tool, so that's an interesting.
Curtis showed me.
Definitely, yeah. Curtis knows so many good tools. On the topic of Etsy, then, I know you do a lot of shop reviews for Etsy. So anyone who doesn't know Ryan, if you've got an Etsy shop, go and submit it. You might get it reviewed on a video. So from your experience through those reviews, what constitutes a good shop on Etsy?
What's funny is I would just say that the reviews got so much more interesting in 2023 when people started doing like digital products, so it's not just like, oh, another week, another t-shirt shop, So I think they've been a lot better this year, at least for me. I've enjoyed doing them more. To me, what constitutes a good shop, what's funny? The most successful shop we reviewed all year had over 5,000 sales. Like they did everything to a high degree that is required to be successful on Etsy, like good thumbnails. They frame their designs, like they frame their design in a way that makes people excited to click it and purchase it. Their designs kind of, you see it and like that's the shirt that I was looking for. You don't have to like squint and read or, you know what I mean? All that stuff that really matters. But one thing that they did that you don't see that often, or I don't see that often, is they were a niche shop. Like their shop was all one niche. It was a science niche, it's broad, but everything on that shop was like, a lot of it was just like science jokes, right? Oftentimes a humorous spin is a nice way to sell a t-shirt, and their designs were at a minimum good enough, right? So they didn't suck, you know what I mean? They were good enough to sell. And as you expect too, yeah, like the 80-20 rule, like they had bestsellers, you know what I mean? But then they also branched out from those bestsellers and got into more like fringe designs as well that can generate a sale any day of the year, right? But then they're also being supported by their, mainstays that are in more competitive, higher search volume, sub niches of science. And what I love is like this landscape's always evolving. Like I'm always learning new things. One of the great things about having a YouTube channel is like we network with people that are smarter than us. They teach us stuff. If you have a niche shop on Etsy now, like you can integrate with Allura, another like Etsy suite of tools. You can set up email automation so that like your customers, that purchased a science themed shirt from you, well, your whole shop is science themed. Send them a coupon using automation now saying, hey, thanks for the order. If you want to come back, here's a coupon. And you can, if you run a permanent 30% off sale, well, you can say, hey, here's a 30% off coupon. That customer probably doesn't know that you constantly run 30% off and that they're not actually saving any money. Next thing you know, you're bringing the customer back and one sale turns into two. And little things like that. I'm loving it, man. So I get excited to see like what's to come. Like it may feel like Etsy's stale and stuff like that, but to me, I'm like, my head's always spinning with like new ideas.
That's interesting. Yeah. I hear this, or I see this discussion quite often about, a general store on Etsy or a niche store. So you tend to see more general stores, right?
Yeah. And maybe it's because I'm reviewing their shop and I usually say do a general store, but.
Okay. Well, I would say, I'm curious what your opinion is, but I would say for a beginner, if you're completely new, do a general shop, because what are the chances that the first niche that you pick for your shop is going to be the right niche? They're very low. So yeah. I would say start with general, and then if you found a good niche, create a separate niche shop. Is that something that sounds reasonable to you, or how would you do it?
Yeah, I'd say absolutely. It's almost like, if you approach print on demand the way you approach college is like, I'm going to go for 1 year, then I'm going to go for the second year, then the third and the fourth, and they constantly build. like I love what you just said as the approach. Like start a general shop, even for me personally. And I mean, I've heard, you know, through some behind the scenes networking with people that like I really respect as Etsy sellers that are more successful as me, that like that, you know, they would much rather have had this level of success on Amazon merch first as opposed to Etsy first, you know. Less moving parts, less effort, you know what I mean? Like Amazon merch, you know, you just list it and it just takes care of itself kind of, right?
Yeah.
So like for me personally, and this has always been how I felt, even though there's people that say the opposite and I wouldn't argue them, is like I prioritize my approach to print on demand for Amazon merch. So like I was saying, like, you know, optimize, you know, research on Amazon, optimize design for Amazon. It may not be Etsy style, right? Like the stuff that really thrives on Etsy, generally speaking, but I'll still push it to Etsy. And if I make 5 sales on Amazon and 1 on Etsy, that's 1 extra sale. I'm cool with that. So like, and if I'm doing it that way, well then, hey, it's going to be a general store because I'm not limiting my niches on Amazon. There's no reason to, in my mind. So yeah, but like, if you want to get advanced, if you have that niche store on Etsy, set up the email automation, you can kind of peel people to your Shopify store if you want. Like, I mean, you know, obviously play by the rules and all that good stuff, but like, if you have a niche store on Etsy, well, like you should definitely have a Shopify store again, because it's so easy to upload the same design elsewhere. Let it sit in Google, let it get indexed, you know, use email automation on Shopify, build to me, like your email list is the real business, you know, whether it's print on demand or anything else. Like Amazon's not giving us emails. Etsy for some reason still does. Leverage that. Like there's a lot more you can do. And obviously like with My Designs and all these other insane tools, like, you know what I mean? Like we're still getting better. We're still like me and you, man. Like we're talking heads on YouTube. We know everything, right? But we're still learning and improving our business.
If you enjoyed that clip, then click here to watch the full episode of Print on Demand Wisdom.